Today we are going to demonstrate how we can create a ChatGPT chat bot like application using OpenAI APIs, LangChain, and Streamlit for the UI. So let me explain what's OpenAI. OpenAI, like I think you might have basic understanding about OpenAI models. So I'm not going to go into that, but OpenAI does provide some APIs that you can use. If you go to OpenAI, you can see the documentations. So we are going to use GPT for 3.5 turbo model from OpenAI right now for this demonstration. The second tool that we're going to use is LangChain, which is basically a third-party toolkit that can integrate with OpenAI, Azure, OpenAI, uh, Llama, sorry, not Llama, yeah, Llama models, and yeah. So you can read the documentation about this, Llama 2 and other stuff, but you can read the documentation. Uh, then we are going to use Streamlit for the UI, and this is a faster way to build and share applications. So technically, you can also use React applications, Angular applications, probably uh, Flask or whatever UI applications or frameworks are out there. But for this demonstration, we are going to use Streamlit because it's easier to build and there's less boilerplate code. So the flow is going to be, we are going to use OpenAI to get access to the models through API. LangChain is a Python SDK library which will give you easier access and you don't have to write boilerplate code to get access to the API. And the third is the UI itself, which is going to be built in Streamlit. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for OpenAI, I have already purchased a $5 credit. So it's not a free service. In order to use the APIs, you can either purchase a credit, which is I think $5 is the minimum, or else you can use a subscription service that they provide. I think it's $20 a month in United States. Not too sure about that. You can just go here and get the pricing. Yeah. So right now what we are trying to do is I've already set that up. I've added $5 as a credit. So right now what we want to do is go to a URL called platform.openai.com and we want to create a new project. So let's do that. All right. I'm going to name the project as ChatBot. It looks like the project is created. Then I want to go to the project itself. I don't know how to do that. Refresh the view. If I go to the home page. Anyway, we want to create an API. So let's create an API. So this API will be used to connect with the OpenAI API. Sorry, this is the API key. So this will be used to connect with the OpenAI APIs. All right, here the project name is displayed. I want to call it chatbot test API key. Right now, I just want to restrict the permissions to chat completion models, and I don't want anything else right now. So I'm just going to say not all, but restricted to just chat completions. And I'm going to create a secret key, which is an API key. I'm going to copy this API key here. Don't worry, after this video is finalized, I'm going to delete this API key. So even if you try to copy paste it and use it in your application, it won't work. And also have a $5 credit limit. So yeah. All right, I think we are good with this. Before going ahead, I want to test this API works with Postman. So here there is something called as API reference. I'll go here and select endpoints as chat because we want to check the chat completion endpoint. And I'm going to copy this curl and check it in Postman. So once we copy this, let me open Postman. All right, I'm going to create a new collection. Right, open AI APIs and then import the curl that I copy pasted from the OpenAI portal. All right, this looks good. I want to save it and call it chat completions. I'm going to test it by sending the API request. It won't work, of course, because we don't have the OpenAI key inserted. So let me go to Sublime, copy this OpenAI key, and we already have the request body. I'm going to change it to, let's say, which is the largest continent. It should return back with Pacific Ocean. Oh, sorry, continent. So it should return back with Asia. Let's see what happens. All right. And speaking about oceans, let's try it one more time. All right. So we have successfully integrated, not integrated as such, but we have successfully connected with the OpenAI API using the API key. So further, let's try to create a project in GitHub because I do want to share this after the video, the source code. So let's go to GitHub and create a new project. I'll call this the same thing, ChatBot. Right now, I'll just leave the description as it is. Get ignore, I'm going to Python. I'll say create repository. All right, once we have this repository, I'm going to clone this. All right, I've successfully cloned the repository and now let's get hands-on on coding. We go ahead, there's some housekeeping stuff that we want to do. We first want to set up a Python environment and for the IDE, it's your personal preference. I'm going to use PyCharm. And for the Python version, I'm using 3.12 right now. It's up to you. You can use any version which is higher than, I guess, 3.11. So let me show you my Python version right now. It's going to be 3.12 something. All right. Now let's create a Python environment. Uh, I want to name it chatbot. All right. So I've created a Python environment. Now let's open up PyCharm. And I want to open the folder that I actually cloned from GitHub. This is the folder, right? I opened up the folder, and in PyCharm it says that you have to configure the Python interpreter. But how I do usually is I go to the settings, preferences, and I usually go here and say add an interpreter, and I go for existing, and then actually go to your terminal, get your environment where it's located. So it's located in my folder, and it's going to be bin Python. So now what we're doing, going to do is we already had a postman request here, right? So you can export this postman request through a code a snippet, and we're going to use Python request, and we're just going to check if this particular connection works from our PyCharm environment. I'm going to create a new Jupyter notebook and call it test connections. Copy paste the code that I received from Postman, and it says that we don't have Jupyter installed. So in order to solve that problem, a simple step is go to your terminal and type in pip install Jupyter. So right now it's installing Jupyter. Also, previously I said that we are going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo, but right now we are actually using GPT-4 only. So that's good. I don't know how much it will cost me, but yeah, that's fine for now. Looks like everything is good. Let's run this piece of code. All right, that looks good. We got a reply back from the LLM. Now, the question was, which is the largest ocean? We got a reply back saying the Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean on the earth, plus some more information that we got back from the LLMs. So I think we are all connected. Now, the next step is to go for the Streamlit application and build an UI. So let's go for it. So before we start to build a Streamlit application, I just want to test a Hello World Streamlit application and also want to add requirements.txt. So let's do that right now. And I'm going to add requirements as Streamlit and then say pip install requirements. It will try to fetch the dependencies. See, all right, it's all done. Now we create a new Python file and I'll call this chatbot underscore UI because we want to create a UI. All right. Now let's go to the Streamlit documentation. In Streamlit documentation, you will be seeing a lot of stuff, and the main thing that you want to look for is getting started. But since I have used Streamlit a lot of times, I know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to say import Streamlit st and say st.write hello world. This is just a check of everything we have done till now is correct. Because trust me, this is the first time I'm doing it with this video. I could have done before. And anyway, to run the application, we say Streamlit. Oh, before that, we have to install. Oh, we already did that. I don't know why this is complaining about Streamlit is not satisfied, but let's see. Uh, chatbots underscore UI. All right, we got our first Streamlit application, which is Hello World. Now let's try to create a chatbot UI, which will basically have a chat GPT like interface. And for this example, right now it will just echo whatever you type in. So in order to do that, go to Streamlit chatbot example. Uh, Streamlit has a lot of documentations, and also you can use ChatGPT to ask a lot of questions about Streamlit and how we can build UI. So here I'm going to scroll down to a section where it gives me a bot that mirrors your input. Uh, I'm going to go to full code and copy this entire code and see how it works, right? And restart the Stream application. And if I type in hello, it should give me hello back. Awesome. This is good enough. Now, what we want to do is we want to integrate three things that we did. We want to integrate the OpenAI responses in the Streamlit UI using LangChain. So now first let's go to LangChain and try to integrate LangChain with the OpenAI in our Jupyter notebooks. So if I go to LangChain, go to docs, I'm going to try to find chat OpenAI examples. And here I can see there are some examples. So I'm going to just copy paste some of the stuff. So I've done this before, like not used OpenAI as such, but I have used LangChain and Streamlit before. So I might be quick in doing stuff, but you can just go through the documents, read, and try to figure out what's happening. So let's delete all the notebooks that we have here and import LangChain OpenAI. One more thing is once you have the LangChain OpenAI, you also have to add it in requirements.txt. I think I missed that step. So once you add this, you can just say pip install requirements and it will do the stuff for you. Uh, now let's try to copy paste the code that they have given as an example in our Jupyter notebooks. Let's try to run this. And this will fail, of course, because we have not provided the OpenAI API key, which we previously got from the OpenAI onboarding step, right, from the project. So we're going to include that, and there is a parameter that how we can include this. in your LangChain module. Also note, this is a very bad way of maintaining the API key. Typically, you should be loading it from the environment variable. Right now, I'm just hard coding it for this particular example. For the system prompt, I'm just going to change this to you are a full AI chat bot. And I'm going to ask a question about uh, which is the largest planet, the solar system. And hopefully this works out well. Let's see. All right. So now we got a response back, and it said Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. And now what we'll do is we'll try to integrate all three components together: the OpenAI API, the LangChain integration with the OpenAI, and also the Streamlit UI. All right. So let's go back to the UI that we built, and let me actually copy paste the entire code that I have here, where I don't have to go back and forth. So in this code, let me zoom in a bit so that I think it's visible for everyone. All right. So in this code, what's happening is you're taking an input from the user and actually you're displaying the same input. So if you see, you're echoing the same input that the user typed in. We want to change this. So first things first, we place the import at the top, and then we are interested to set up the LangChain module for OpenAI, which also goes at the top. We'll rename this app to ChatBot. And the main thing is we have a system prompt which we want at the top again. So we'll do this. And the most important part is we are interested in the response from the LLM and not just echoing the same query that user typed in. So we're going to replace this with invoke dot content, because previously if you saw in the Jupyter notebooks, the content is coming from a AI message class. That's what we want. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the uh, AI message class if you want to details, but I don't know why I came here. Let me go back to my code. I think this should be good. And one more thing that we want to include is that when the message is sent to the OpenAI, you want to say that what was the user prompt or the user query. And this should not be hard coded. You should be passing whatever the user passed in. And this should be fine. Let me delete this. Right. Uh, Hopefully this should work. Let's try it out. Not this command. Now let's try to ask him the same question, which that. And as you see, you got a response back from the OpenAI, and in turn, it's using like LangChain is in turn using OpenAI. LangChain is a SDK for Python. Streamlit is a UI for Python, and all looks good. We can ask another question: who was the first President of USA. And the responses are quick. One more thing to note is, like I said earlier, we are using GPT 3.5 Turbo, but in the example that you saw in the Jupyter notebooks earlier, we were also using GPT 4.0, which just got released like weeks back. So we can just try to change this to GPT 4 only and try to reload the application and ask one more question, which is our just question. And you get reply back. So I think that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to explain how we can have chat history and chat context for this. So, for example, you asked a question, which is the largest ocean in the world, and then in the subsequent question, you can ask what is its size or something like that, like, or where is it located? Not a appropriate question for this. Or you can ask which is the second largest. Rather than specifying ocean as the keyword, you can ask what is the second largest, and it will get the context what we are chatting about. And in this case, it won't give a response back because it doesn't include context. So let me type in and which is the second largest. So here it will fail because see, it provide me more context. And that's what we are going to do in the next video. How we can chain the context and chain the chat history. And yeah, so I think that's it for now.